Advocate.
Yes.
So this is Andrew Williams Jr. Today is Earth Day, April 22nd. I'm in Los Angeles, California. And Mark, please introduce your name and where you're from.
Hey, Andrew, this is Mark Prasangi. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I'm the founder of Carbonshot.Earth, as well as a co-founder for UnityNet.
Okay, well, that's short and succinct.
I can talk a little more. I mean, I can give a...
No, we'll do that in our follow-up, Mark.
Yes.
but yes, the question Mark asked me was about this campaign to add another 10,000 members to the United Nations Global Compact. It would help if you know what that is. In 2000, the world was moving towards an idea of actually eliminating the debt of countries, particularly our least developed countries, particularly in Africa. This was actually 1998, 1999. So the world came together and they had something called the Darfur Declaration to address and eliminate racism, xenophobia, all those things. Israel and the United States were the only countries that came up with an objection to the language that would unfortunately have negatively impacted their countries. And the outcome was that it was decided that the entire world needed to make a commitment to work together to accomplish goals to, quote, leave no one behind. So at that time, there were, I think, less than a dozen people that decided what the 8 Millennium Development Goals were going to be. They sat down in the basement of the United Nations in New York and said, well, this is what we're going to do. That didn't work out so well, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
But leading up to 2015, there was actually the Rio summit in 2012, focusing on climate change, was actually I think one of the catalysts to focusing more on what the world really needed to do to impact the quality of life. So there was over 3 million people surveyed with the survey called The World We Want that contributed information into what this post-2015 Millennium Development Goals agenda would look like. So there's major input from people around the world and not just people sitting in the bottom of a basement.
Yeah.
But even more so, it was Kofi Annan, who at that time was the first General Secretary from Sub-Saharan Africa to sit in at the United Nations. So alongside the Millennium Development Goals, he launched what he called the United Nations Global Compact. And this was in order for businesses to make a corporate social responsibility commitment to that impacts human rights, including indigenous rights, labor, and the environment. And later they added anti-corruption and transparency. So these 10 principles were intended by Kofi Annan because of his lived experience as you.
Oh, Andrew, you're on mute.
There are billions of dollars that are being spent by foreign aid organizations into least developed countries, but there are many billions more that are leaving because of illicit trade and finance, primarily through the Western countries. So the intent was to hold accountable not just those finance agencies, but major companies to make a decision and make a commitment to what they wanted to accomplish. Right now, there were 40 original corporations that came together with this global compact. Right now, there are over 13,000. They've grown into the largest corporate social responsibility in the organization in the world. You can find them at unglobalcompact.org.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yes, but here's the thing. Kofi Annan, and there's this little short video, you may have seen it, but his genius was holding the businesses accountable to the civil society. And so that's where you and I come in, or that's where I hope most of the people that we've been dealing with can come in. The idea is this. Now, of course, from a situational analysis standpoint, there was a lot of greenwashing with the United Nations Global Compact for at least the first dozen or so years. As I said, right now they have 13,000 members. They had wiped out or suspended or delisted over 13,000 members because they failed to comply with a simple request to describe what it is you're actually doing to accomplish these objectives that you say you're going to do.
Wow. Wow.
So understanding all these things, the group of people working with me, we actually came up with a plan. One of our Goodwill ambassadors, Chola Agbula in Nigeria, actually set up an office and a website where we can kind of do a pre-screening so that we would be the ones, we would take responsibility ourselves, right, to pre-screen and pre-qualify and also pre-classify the activities of the organizations that I'm working with. Many of them just don't know which, if any, of the Sustainable Development Goals, for example, that they're actually working within. Their mission statement may not be aligned, or at least it may not be clearly aligned with one or more of the 10 principles, even though they actually are. So, you know, part of our task is to educate the community that we're working with about what these goals are, what these objectives are. And Mark, you know, even though there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, there are over 169 targets, right?
Yeah.
So you have to get down in the weeds to actually know what's going on.
Correct.
But of this $130 trillion that the chief financial officers of these major corporations have agreed to spend in the next 10 years, they will only do it when it's accountable, when it's de-risked. So that means that any of us that are not in that sector, we need to use the same language that they're using. We need to know what they mean when they say what they're doing, and we need to have evidence-based results on what we're saying, right?
Yes.
So my simple idea is that we would, in fact, add another 10,000 members of civil society, and it's free for civil society members to join, right? But again, the idea is that we don't just get them to say, oh yeah, we're joining. We're asking them to come in with an understanding of which of the Sustainable Development Goals they're actually working with, and then agree to work and report to us on what activities they are working with to accomplish that. So that collectively then, Mark, we can all align our efforts together, those of us that are aligned, to attract the resources and support from organizations and governments that are claiming to be the ones responsible for doing the things that they say that they want to get done. So we're taking the responsibility ourselves of doing their work, let them get the credit, but we want the outcome to be what we can be tangible to our children right now. So in a nutshell, that's the overall idea of what we're talking about. But more specifically, there's a 2021 through 2023 plan of action that's been put in place by the most recent CEO, Sanda Ojiambo, who is from Kenya. And the idea, they have a global plan and they have an Africa-specific plan, but they use both the same framework. So the idea is that there's right now an existing number of what they call local networks, places in countries that have a large enough group of the United Nations Global Compact members.
So this is in continental Africa, is it, Andrew?
Pardon?
Is this in continental Africa?
Yes. Well, it's of course now the UN Global Compact. They're headquartered in New York, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But they have a worldwide plan. They have you can Google it, UN Global Compact 2021 through 2023 strategy. But they also have an Africa strategy. But they both use the same framework. The difference is in Africa, their intent is to recruit 100 of the largest companies in each of the 55 countries and increase by a factor of 10 the number of small and medium enterprises in each of those countries to either join or launch a global compact. I mean, a local network for Africa. They already have a plan of launching this year in Abuja, Nigeria, the hub, the first of 5 hubs that will be spread out to coordinate this throughout the continent. What I'm suggesting, Mark, is that, again, we take a page out of their playbook and we become the ones that are focused on the same areas they are, but we start delivering results. Because where the countries are that you have the least number of local networks, that's where the most people are likely to die from the adverse effect of climate change throughout the global South, not just Africa, but India, South America as well. Yep. So I'm suggesting that we go ahead and take on the responsibility of accomplishing these objectives on a global scale. And for those that are either working with or through India, Africa, we adapt what's called a Global South plan. And so I put that together. I can send it to you shortly because I did actually today highlight Nina DePrima as our global ambassador. That's
who's that?
making the commitment to
Nikki from the UK.
Yes.
Global Peace Stock. Okay.
Yes. So I put together a booklet. I worked on this booklet for about 10 years, but it's only 10 pages.
That's the best thing. That's the best thing. The shorter it is, it's easier for people to comprehend. Yes.
But the idea, Mark, is that my intent is to leverage all of my social capital that I built up over the last 12 years and put it into this global push to, again, assist anyone and everyone that's aligned with us. Where you come in, I hope, Mark, is that we approach it from a strategic standpoint, and we become the ones to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, to be able then to actually align our efforts together, and also to be responsible for handling any of the money or the financial accountability for involving ourselves with any project. Now, Joan Kerr up in Canada already is involved with major projects, as you know, through IEEE, where her organization provides grants of $25,000 to $250,000 to jumpstart projects that involve electricity, education, and entrepreneurship. That would fit in almost any of the projects that we're talking about. But again, it just takes oversight to make sure that we are able to provide clear accountability for what we want to get done. And we have to empower the people that involve themselves with us with education about what they're doing and what we're doing, so that we can begin to engage our children in such a way that they can become the leaders and not just the followers of what we're trying to do for them, but they can actually co-create the future.
Yeah. So this is good. This is big, Andrew. I like it, what you're trying to accomplish over here. Now, there are many things that can be done. If you see, since the time I've come into UnityNet, I've been trying to drive a few changes over there. The most important thing is the ability to think big and have a vision for something bigger, right? Because that is key. Scale is very important for initiatives of this nature. And if we cannot think big, there's no point in then being in the business of what we're trying to accomplish, right? Because impact is massive. People are involved, people are engaged. We want to make sure that it reaches to the right set of people. Now, when you say 10,000, because one of the things that I'm trying to circle into UnityNet, now I'm trying to build a network over here where all these networks plug in, okay? So this is more from an online perspective, but that is required, that will be required. And UnityNet is going to be one cog in it. Now, my idea is, can we scale this to 1 million people? That is big, okay? But it gives us the reach that we require, and people will start noticing us. Now, the one thing that today I asked this question in UnityNet, even UNAD, that how many of the people that are engaged with UNAD are youth and women? Youth is very important. Doesn't matter whether you're a boy or you're a girl, but people in the age bracket of 20 to 35, they matter most because they will push, they're the future, the next generation. They will push things the way we want it to spread and percolate and cascade. And this is not just continental Africa. This has to be continental America as well, and Asia as well. And we have to start at that. But my goal is that in the next 1 to 2 years, what can be done? And that's a question I'm throwing out to a lot of people. What can we do to get 1 million people on board? And disparate from disparate regions. It's a diverse diaspora set of people, whether it's local indigenous or diasporas. Everyone has to come on the same platform together, and then we make a difference. Because 1 million voices together has a massive impact. And then to scale those 1 million voices to 10 million voices, is not it won't take too much time, and that 10 million to go to 100 million, it won't take much time. But this all there is a time pressure that we have to start off and start making this happen and move, right? And this is why now I'm thinking, why didn't I reach out to you earlier and have a conversation with you, so that I would have known your thought process and your ideology, and where do you want to move things as well.
Well, it's very important you understand what I'm doing individually is providing a framework for the UnityNet and other organizations to work out what they need to get done. I do understand from a corporate standpoint, I can only be liable for what I'm willing to be liable for. And my corporation, I'm just forming it in order to provide a global infrastructure to be able to scale from 1 to 10 trillion as necessary, but we have to have the framework in place. So I've been very cautious about interjecting my ideas into the UnityNet group, because at the end of the day, it's just one of the channels that I intend to be providing. I don't want to get confused, and I don't want there to be any idea that there's a conflict of interest, because I am also involved with Jackson Dukpa out of Bhutan, who has an intent to have 10 million people by the end of this year to involve his project, with a target of 100 million by next year. I don't want his idea to get confused with UnityNet, or them to think about trying to conflate each other. Let them each go on their same way. My task is to accommodate all of it.
Correct.
That's my task.
What's important is these entities have to be separate and independent. That's what I've been pushing, and I'm trying to change this in UnityNet, that it is not that you become the cosmos of the entire world. The idea is that we have multiple planets, because growth can only happen when you keep people independent and let them thrive, right? If you constrict them, growth gets constricted, thriving capabilities get constricted, and that's not what I want either. I want that people like UnityNet stay separate, Global Peace Let's Talk stays separate entity, and even Bhutan stays, Jackson's unit stays a separate entity, because all of them have to become attraction entities on their own. That's how we are going to reach the targets that we want, right? And with Carbonshot that I'm trying to do, it's all about impact investing, right? And this is where I think we have to work together, because my target was the 100 billion tokens that we issue initially. That goes, and even if that gets priced at $10, we hit straight away $1 trillion, right? But to push out for investments 100 billion, that is no easy task. It is very difficult. Like, my target is in 10 years. That's like saying 10 billion per year. It's not easy. Trust, it is very, very, very difficult, right? So what is important is, besides attracting the money for investments and creating an avenue that these investors also feel that I'm getting a return on my investment, and this money getting transferred to impact, correct? It's not easy. And I say that if you have to do something big, you have to hold hands. You have to partner up, you have to collaborate. Otherwise, think about it in the few $1,000s, $100,000, and be happy, right?
You're talking to the choir. I agree with you completely.
Great. I love that. Yes, so this is so important. And like you arranged that sports meeting as well with the Hope Foundation. That was a great meeting with that gentleman and the group that he brought together, and some of the conversations that happened. And I had some thoughts on that, which I wanted to talk to you as well. Now, I don't know if we have time today or probably the next.
Well, yeah, I'm at your convenience at the moment, but again, yes, it's a short answer. Yes. So what came to mind? Yes.
So because LA is centric and it's California, there's a lot of money, there are a lot of sports people as well, right? And there are sports personalities with color as well. Can we get them on board, and we could create impact investment structures where based on their name, basically using their ambassadorship, right? And those could sell for $1 million. If they need royalty, they get the royalty. The rest we use for impact investment work. And the way I'm structuring these investments is that they become, it's not a one-time transaction, right? So royalty gets earned every time there's an exchange happening, there's some money coming through. And that some money coming through gets equitably distributed into all parties who are engaged together, whether it's this ambassador or all parties, whether it's the Andrew Network, whether it's Carbonshot, or whoever's engaged in helping this happen. So it's not one party getting all the money, but everybody benefits. That's the whole idea. Because my idea coming from finance and banking and technology is that there are growth and extractionists. I'm talking about leveling the playing field, democratizing the whole process of money making as well, that who is engaged gets paid as well. And everybody gets paid equitably, not in equity, but equitably. Whatever's your contribution, you get based on what it is, right?
That works fine. And just to let you know now, in 1984, I did put together a 100-page entrepreneur's survival handbook. I based it here in Los Angeles, but it did have a global footprint of over 345,000 individual distributors that would all work together collectively to accomplish objectives. For example, in 12 states, 12 cities, 12 largest cities in the United States, that would be mirrored with the 12 largest economies around the world, because in most cases, places like Los Angeles, for example, we have more people here from other countries that are in the capital city of those countries. So a key part of all my thoughts, Mark, is what we have to do is make sure we have a multilingual ability, or the ability to reach people, a multilingual audience. So originally my idea was to have at least 12, like a secretariat, have at least 12 bilingual representatives, each representing a major language. That person will be responsible for all the communication in that language. And together collectively, anything we do in one language, such as English, could automatically reach those people in other languages. So I just say that to say that barter was a very key part of what that original launch was, because the idea was that I was working from here in Los Angeles in a depressed, quote, depressed neighborhood where there were no manufacturing jobs. They had been taken out. But there were a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs to go into the community and build businesses for the businesses in the community, if they were willing to apportion a portion of their income, let's say 10%, right, as an incentive to get people to bring business to them. So I love what you're saying, Mark, and I do have, I think, a deep enough understanding of that. Have a wonderful day to be able to assist and promote whatever you're trying to accomplish.
It is very important, because what this means is this collaboration means that whatever investments come in, Andrew, whatever in structure that we put in place, the returns will flow to every participating player, and that can get reinvested as well, right? And my goal is that the investors, advisors, founders, the initial people who come together, that we provide enough tokens to each party, which gets staked as well. So there'll be a 10-15% return coming through. And that helps to regenerate and re-input into the system as well, and support communities if that's what we are looking for. And like, I like that meeting that you arranged, Andrew, with Professor Marcia. That was phenomenal. In fact, in terms of thought process, what I was envisaging, they have gone ahead and done it, LA, Green LA.
Because I'm part of that. I'm one of the original founding members of the Encounter think tank that she launched 10 years ago, so that we have the students involved with our local communities and the educational system, but have business there to support our efforts so that we're actually helping them accomplish their objectives, but everyone gets paid.
This is brilliant. This was brilliant. And there is immense complexity from a technology standpoint that is embedded in there, and which is why I was very impressed that this is something if we can collaborate on as well and take it, like this can go to San Diego, San Francisco, Florida, Miami, New York, Toronto, everywhere, even the most richest of country cities, whether it's London, Amsterdam, even the Saudis as well. Like Saudi Arabia is building this Naomi stretch, right? It's $1 trillion section. No one's done this thing. I can guarantee it has not been thought of. But LA, you guys have gone ahead and done it. I was blown.
Well, wait, before you go further, please understand, Professor Marcela Oliva is not working in a vacuum, right? What she was able to write a grant 15 years ago that got the launch of what's called the E7 Architectural Studio. The E7 Architectural Studios recruited community college students that over a period of 10 years were able to create the largest geospatial database in the world that was able to actually, by Homeland Security standards, develop over $10 billion worth of construction on the Los Angeles Community College District. They completed that 5 years ago. So we have a model that's been proven, not just here, but around the world, Mark. So yes, you're right, we are far ahead, but it's intriguing that here we are in, quote, Hollywood, and the narrative doesn't get told about these successes. We're only a few blocks away from what's called the Lucas Narrative Museum, Lucas Narrative Museum, where you have George Lucas and his family foundation building a $1 billion building that's supposed to highlight creative people. And here we are in Los Angeles, and we can't tell the story about the successes that we have in our own community. That's shocking to me.
And that's where the channel comes in, that how we can propagate such information out there, right? And that, so this, this so-called network that I'm talking about is, it's all online, nothing is offline, right? Where UnityNet is simply one cog into the whole puzzle, right? This layer will give facilities, and so Andrew, if I may ask, all the 10,000 UNFCCC members that you intend to bring on board, where do you intend to host them or give them space to do things? Because the reason I'm asking is, if your thought process and my thought process are similar, I'd rather merge this and then look to grow this together in some way or the other.
Morning. Well, yes, and yes, Mark, because I'm of the opinion that once you build it, they will come.
Yes, precisely. You got it. Yes.
So yes, and yes is all I'll ever tell you, Mark. Let's do it.
Perfect. Great. So yeah, like I've been talking about this vision with a few people, and based on Carbonshot and what the capacity and the capability is, and looking, because there's a lot of work which can be, it becomes a melting pot essentially, but from that melting pot, how do you synthesize things through where that vision is visible, that yes, this is how things are going to be laid out, this is how things are going to be looking at, right? That is very key. And there are a few folks who get that as well. I don't know, Andrew, have you met Bill from Energime?
Only in passing. It's actually Adam Greenwell launched onto the idea that I had back in 2015 for there to be a global effort to have organizations that join the United Nations Global Compact. It was actually Bill Soskinski with Energime that was the first organization that did that back in 2015. So we've been on a call together, but we haven't interacted with each other yet.
So I met Bill just last week, and we clicked. We clicked immediately. The thought processes and everything just clicked. He's doing it from one perspective. My vision is from another perspective, but if you marry them together, it is massive, massive. And now here you are, you're talking big and you're talking scale, which is what I like. That because because if people don't have that vision and that scale, it's very difficult to then think on bigger terms, right?
Mark, understand, I had to scale down everything I'm telling you about to be able to scale up.
Why is that? Why did you have to scale down? I'm intrigued.
Well, it's just simple because in the first place, it's a matter of having a small team to work with, right? No matter what you're doing, 75% of the value is going to be attributed to who is actually involved. I had to bring it down to a level where, if necessary, I could actually do this myself and get these 10,000 people. I did an experiment several years ago. It just takes so much time individually. So I had to find a way to multiply myself. The idea was to create a way that small teams can be independent but interdependent and working to accomplish the same goals and objectives. That is called, in my case, it's not the Internet of Things, it's the Internet of everything and everyone.
Yes, you're getting it right. And that is how it has to be, that there are smaller teams intertwined and interdependent and working together, right? And it flows so well. And one of the talks that I keep giving is that, think about the body. It's not the heart, it's not the brain. The heart pumps the blood for the brain, and the brain works for the senses, the edges of the body, which is the fingers, the nose, the eyes, the ears, the feet. These are all at the edges. Ultimately, work is being done for the edges, and the actions happen at the edges, not here or here. We are just means to support the edges, right? That is key to understand that.
And the edges are the edges interconnect with other edges. So we're all edges interconnecting.
Yes, precisely. Correct. You're getting it, man. You're getting it. So that's very key, that the partnerships and the collaborations that happen, they all act as edges for a much, much, much bigger purpose. And so long as the purposes and the visions match, we all have to work and support each other and make things happen.
Well, look, I won't be able to get back to my computer for another hour or two, but I think compressed the agreements that are necessary to get these things done into a few pages.
Yeah, let's do it.
Even before having an agreement about a memorandum of understanding, I've come to the conclusion that we have to first have an ethics agreement among ourselves.
Yes.
Or at least among the people that are working with the Andrew networks. So I put these together. Give me an hour or so, or at least give me a time to get back. I just want to send it to you for your review, because the model that I'm using, and let me let you know that for many years I worked as a legal secretary, and I worked on many of the major, like the Roadrunner telecommunications network back in the 80s. So I've been very familiar with how words structure contracts and agreements, right? So I want to send over to you the templates, because moving from just an ethics agreement to a memorandum of understanding, non-confidentiality, non-disclosure, non-circumvention, right? Then and move into having specific descriptions of projects attached to that basic underlying agreement, gives us the flexibility to work with a variety of different people and enterprises, but still with the same basic commitment to work together within these guidelines.
Yeah, okay, send it across. We'll take a look at it, and we can then work, because I think the purpose is bigger, what we're trying to accomplish. And I've already shared some vision of Carbonshot and the network agenda that I have. And as I said, that UnityNet, even though I'm the co-founder of UnityNet, UnityNet is just one cog of the wheel. And I expect Jackson's and the GLPTs and everybody else just happen to be one of the cogs fitting in, where they make use of the services and capabilities, and any investments that need to go in. Carbonshot's impact structures work to send investments or through impact investments into these entities, right, as feeders, so that the benefits flow to everybody, whoever engages over here. I can draw and send you a page and show it to you, and take a picture as well and share it to you if you want.
Well, if you'd be so kind, because what I do is I simultaneously I have multiple conversations with people in multiple sectors, right? One of the commitments I made is to work with a merchant bank, and their intent is to have, they've already created an NFT platform, and the idea is to tokenize the creative products that are produced by our most talented people, our youth. But all that is going to require working together with people like yourself, Mark, so that we can make this make sense. So as you share with me your snapshot, I'll share with you my snapshot, and let's see if we can snapshot the snapshots together.
Yes. So this merchant bank, they're working on building an NFT. So I wanted to talk to you about this, but I didn't realize. I wasn't sure if you were okay with the concept or not, or you would be familiar with the concept or not. So glad that you brought it up. And that's what I wanted to do with the sports thing, essentially. So I'm building a whole tokenomics model about this. So NFT is just one side of it, but the whole crypto tokenomics structure, that's what I'm trying to put in place. And that's what I'm talking about, where, everybody wins, and why everybody wins, and how you democratize the process completely, right? And one of the things that I liked about, so there's this lady from UNESCO dancing, Lisa Sutton. She's pretty cool. I love her that way because she understands governance structures and how bodies work. And I'm looking forward to actually get her on board in some form as an advisor or something on the board, because a soul is required on the board. Like, where money is involved, sometimes you need to keep a check on people, on their soul. And she could be that kind of a lady where somebody is putting a check on the soul and, questioning, where's your conscience, where's your soul? Because these are very important things when you're dealing with money and people go,
Well, her ability to be sensitized to people's aura is something that cannot be replicated, and it's critically important for anything moving forward, because it ensures that our spirituality is pure.
Yes. These are things which matter most, because especially where money matters come in, people go haywire. And for me, having such people on board is very important, that somebody is there to rein you in, right? The board. So this is good. So it'll be interesting to, at some point, to get into a conversation with this merchant banker of yours.
Look in the chat. I put the link to the NFT platform. GrampsNFT.com.
Okay, yeah, I'll check it out, GAMS NFT, because if there is synergy, I think I will immediately hook on to these guys with you and figure out what we can do, because
he's trusting me to introduce him to my people in the Andrew networks. So you've been recruited. Welcome to the family.
Sorry, I missed the 2-second part.
The merchant banker has come into my group of people. We call us the Andrew networks, right? So back in August of last year, he stumbled and found himself in the Andrew networks. He was originally born in Watts, California, here. He was then spent 25 years in NASA. Then he spent 35 years as a merchant banker, but he got away from his roots in the community. So through me, he's been able to find that here in Los Angeles. We've been able to work, as a matter of fact, to create NFT imagery at 5 Points Youth Foundation at the heart of the Rodney King riots that jumped off, as you might know, 30 years ago, and as his way of commitment to bringing back to the community.
Wow.
But he's depending upon his gut feeling about who I bring to him through my network as to how we can work and network together. So this is an evolving relationship, but yes, please take a look at that link I sent you, because he has an unlimited amount of resources to bear, but only willing to bring it to the table for projects that have a cause, have an outcome, and that have an intended outcome to better the entire humanity.
It flows in. So I'll share about Carbonshot. Even the Carbonshot site has it. The the document that I have, it has it, but I have not put in the tokenomics in there. The tokenomics is still private yet, but if this gentleman is open, I am willing to thrash out and talk the tokenomics as well, and we could build something together as that's also pretty cool.
Well, Mark, I've already connected him with my team in India, right? So they're already working together with a network of chartered accountants as well as financiers and developers for a project in India. So the idea is that you and I can have an opportunity to shape this collaborative in ways that will reach the least developed or the most deserving and the people that are left furthest behind, right? So
yes.
that's our task. That's our task. If we connect that dot, we've got the world at our fingertips.
Right now, I'm speechless, but I can only raise my thumbs because this is like I could not have imagined that we would click so well, Andrew. And you are up to, like, besides the vision and the scale that you're talking, you are also well aware of, and you're connected over here. In India, what's the initiative happening in India? Like, who are you connected, if I may ask, in India? Or which region are they?
In the gift city, and I'm going to mangle the name, Gujarat. The hub
Gujarat?
city.
Gujarat.
Yes. As I understand it, that's a free trade area, free trade zone, and it's intended to be a model city for the rest of India and the world. That's my understanding.
So Gujarat is a state. So it's a city in that state of Gujarat, is it?
I can send you over the information, Mark. But
yeah,
look,
send me the information because
right now, I do have these personal matters. I know it's difficult for you to see on the other side of the screen, right?
Yeah.
But I'm disabled, right? I can't stand up for longer than 5 minutes at a time. I've been sitting on my bag here, but I work with it, right? I have chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, so I can't breathe too well, right? Now I have an opportunity to do a few housekeeping chores, and then I need to get back home because I get more comfortable. So please bear with me and let me wrap this up now.
Please do. Yes, no worries.
Yes. So I'll follow up with you
have a follow-up conversation, but this is a great conversation, Andrew, and we'll follow up. Absolutely, we'll follow up.
All right. Love you so much, brother. Talk to you soon.
Love you too, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
More power to all of us.